This is by far the greatest crypto tool on the market and has definitely made millionaires. The only reason why it's not illegal is because nobody knows how to use it. It's time to discover crypto. Now, before I show you what this tool is, we first must know and understand why it was created in the first place. So let's go ahead and listen to none other than Warren Buffett speak on what the fear and greed means in markets.
Investors overcome their greed and fears in the stock markets.
That's a very tough problem. Some people can control their emotions and other people cannot control their emotions. And unless you can control your emotions, you're probably not going to do very well in the stock market. I happen to have a certain temperament that works pretty well, and that I don't get excited because other people get excited about things, and I don't get depressed because they get depressed. You have to be able to form an independent judgment and not let your emotions take control.
But I think it's very hard to practice.
It is hard for some people to practice. It's hard for many people to practice.
But luckily, there is an indicator that practices this for you. So obviously, fear and greed. I know you guys are rolling your eyes right now like, Josh, everybody knows this. Well, this is in fact the hardest thing to master in any market. So what does it look like when you can actually manage those expectations, manage those emotions? How does that correlate to both Bitcoin and traditional market? Well, today, obviously, we are seeing the largest amount of inflow ever being received by Bitcoin spot ETFs, with over $2+ billion coming into the market and a ton of greed being anticipated by investors. This, of course, is going to correlate to Bitcoin one day not only taking over silver, but approaching that market cap in the likes of gold, competing with that gold market cap. Of course, as we approach that, and whether that is 4 years, 8 years, or 12 years from now, the greed in that market is going to be so high, it's going to be really hard to navigate if markets are either oversold or overbought in given time. So here is the indicator we're going to be talking about today. It is none other, guys, than the Crypto Fear and Greed Index itself. Now, again, I know a lot of people will look at this indicator and say, Josh, that is worthless. That is a useless indicator. Well, just look at what I'm about to show you on the charts with the reactions of fear and greed. For you guys that are new here, traditionally this indicator allows you to know when to buy or sell in this market. When you're in the ultra green, when you're in extreme greed, you need to be fearful. Be fearful when others are greedy, and be greedy when others are fearful. And so when you're looking and approaching this dark green zone on the greed index, this is an indication that you may be wanting to take profits. If you're in the red, you're going to see later on in this video that this is the best opportunity to buy crypto and has been historically for over the last decade. In the orange, I like to look at the orange category as dollar cost average. I want to DCA into the market and go heavy in the red. When we're in the green, I want to be cautious and optimistic about the market, but be ready to approach and take profit in the green. So looking at this on a longer scale time frame, I wanted to just show you guys at the top of last bull cycle, we hit an all-time high on the fear and greed index and an all-time high for Bitcoin's price. Obviously, the two are going to go hand in hand. You can see we hit an 84 on the extreme greed right here in a $68,000 price action. Now, what's really important to take away from this is not only just what the greed level is at the top of the markets, as well as in the trend of the market, but the greed at the bottom of these dips when Bitcoin decides to pull back, when Bitcoin decides to actually plummet. So if I go ahead and just click on any of these by themselves, we can see that at the bottom of the market when FTX collapsed in November of 2022, the fear and greed index hit a level of 24 or red. You can see the red indicator to the left of that FGI. However, when we had that pullback most recently in September and we came back down to $26,000 Bitcoin, we were only at a 45. And most recently, when we went from $50,000 Bitcoin all the way down to 38K, we hit roughly 52 to 48. So again, we are looking at the fear and greed of this orange borderline neutral position. So how do you use this chart and know when it's actually in an uptrend and it's a decent time to, one, either dollar cost average, or two, get ready to buy or get ready to sell? Well, looking at the overtime index, so the fear and greed index over time, when we pull out that max time frame, we can see that anytime that your fear and greed index is above this 70 level, so 70 on the fear and greed, this is going to be the opportunity to either one, start to take profits, or two, sell out of that position. So again, you're looking at above that 70 level. And of course, if you look below the 20 level, well, historically, we haven't even seen this, and it barely touched 20 when FTX happened right here. When we're at that 20 level or 10 or 14 or 12, or if you're lucky and catch it at below that 10 zone, these are the greatest opportunities to actually dollar cost average and go heavy and buy into these markets. I went ahead, overlaid this for you guys on TradingView. There is a fear and greed index in the indicators here. And I went ahead and just mapped it out and used obviously a bunch of different lines to show you the tops and bottoms here. So what I'm looking at right now is going to be the bottoms of these markets. So March of 2020, this is COVID-19. If we were to buy when we were at extreme fear, 0 to 25, we would have not only have caught in that bottom of the bull market or that bear market, we would have held and gained the entire bull run, right? Of course, that is going to be huge for price action. Now, if you move further again, and as we approach this bull run, you'll notice that, of course, going from the fear and greed, we start to test that 70 level about, I could say, July of 2020. We went from like $3,400 Bitcoin up to nearly $11,000 and then started pulling back. And that's why, guys, you have the red zone, the orange zone, the light green and neutral zone, and then take profit zone. Those 4 different categories. So if I go back over to the fear and greed index, you would know that in this orange area that we're looking at right here, when we broke into that top fear, right, in the middle of that bear market, or that take profit zone, the greed zone, when we came back down and we started building in this dollar cost average zone, this would have been a great time to start accumulating and buying once again. And then, of course, it bounced back up, went back over the 70, and went into the bull run. Of course, in a bull run, guys, there's going to be tons of greed, tons of profit, and what you're going to be looking for is the example right here. This is going to be when Elon Musk decided to change his direction and mind on Bitcoin. We went from roughly 48K Bitcoin down to $28,000. And as you can see, let me go ahead and pull out the measure for you. That was roughly a 30% drop on Bitcoin's price. A massive, massive pullback. Now, some people, of course, got scared in that market. But if you had noticed, guys, we went from that green, that take profit, down to the caution, right? We did not break into the dollar cost average zone or that complete buy indicator. It bounced off of it, right? This is the caution zone. It bounced off and went to do all-time highs. Now, fast forward a few months, you had China sell off all of its Bitcoin. China was like, you know what? We're done with Bitcoin. We're going to ban it. Even though, guys, we were at max greed in the bear market, right? This is 70. We hit 70 in the middle of the bear market. When China banned Bitcoin, we only came down to the level of about, this was $30,000 Bitcoin right here. You can see $30-something thousand Bitcoin. We hit max fear, right? 0 to 25. If you were to look at this indicator, the fear and greed index, and just simply base your decision off market psychology, like Warren Buffett, you would have accumulated and again took in that position and running it back to all-time highs. You hit that 70 zone, start taking profits, right? This is where you want to sell. Take those profits. Of course, you would have made a very, very good trade. Now let's go to recent times, right? Fear and greed, you can see every single time you buy in the red, there's massive upside for Bitcoin. Buy in the red, there's massive, this is of course before FTX right here. Buy in the red, even if you were to hold that through FTX for the few months, you would be up still roughly, let me pull up the measuring tape here again. You would be up like 200%, I would say. So if we go from the bottom here to Bitcoin's price now, yeah, you'd be up roughly 200% on Bitcoin's price action. So of course, guys, this is the proof. This is the millionaire's indicator. This is why retailers can't utilize the fear and greed index. Retailers that think the fear and greed index doesn't matter are just people that simply haven't been in markets long enough. Warren Buffett says it. It's the hardest indicator to not only master, but to practice. And that's because when everything is bloody, when everything is red, everybody is calling for lower lows, everything's going to crash, it's going to go to zero. And it makes it very hard to make that investment decision into dollar cost average in or simply buy heavy. And of course, when you're at the top, everybody's greedy. Everybody's screaming for $100,000, $200,000, $300,000 Bitcoin. They're not going to be looking at to take profits at 70K because they cannot control their own emotions. And that's why this is so important. As you guys, come into this market, if you guys are brand new, first and foremost, realize that historically, buying when we're in the green, right? Buying when we are at this green level, this is your take profit. This is your caution. This is your dollar cost average for the orange. And this is your heavy buy. This would be your sell right here. So you want to look at the greed and analyze the market conditions and sentiment of your fellow investors, friends, people around you. If someone that's never talked about crypto before is now telling you about new cryptos you should purchase, that is going to be an indication we're in that max greed factor and that you should probably start to take profits. And then, of course, the other way around. So where are we at right now? Well, Bitcoin is sitting at $51,000 at the time of this video. So if you're someone that's coming to the crypto for the first time, you need to realize that the times to buy, of course, we're in the yellow zone, the dollar cost average zone, and in the heavy buy zone, right? We're now approaching that take profit level. And this means, yes, prices can definitely continue higher. That is not a problem. You can see it happen in each cycle, right? When we were at here, we were at take profits. We went to all-time highs, right? The only problem is historically, this is the time you don't want to be entering that market. You want to already be in the market, and is why this indicator is so important. So if you guys are coming in and you guys are waiting for a pullback, what I personally would like to see is dollar cost average in around that 47,000 or that 47 to 50 level, which we just recently saw when we went from 49K to 38K. And actually, we even bought with the Discord and this channel here because of the greed level. We started dollar cost averaging. So great entry points once again. If you guys are coming into this market, like I just mentioned, make sure that you don't have that FOMO. You want to do what Warren Buffett said, guys, and you need to practice that emotion. That is the most important thing you could possibly try to do in these markets, and is why I say it should be borderline illegal. If everybody knew how to control their emotions, there would be no financial market. You need buyers and you need sellers. And if you can understand how those buyers and sellers are going to react to price action, you can come out on top just like Warren Buffett. And that is what I got for you guys today. Let me know in the comments if you guys utilize the Fear and Greed Index, and let me know what your favorite indicators are and the price levels you're expecting to see Bitcoin reach at the end of this year.